I played a little bit of Helldivers 2 a few weeks after it launched, and, well, I wasn't really into it. Like, I couldn't even complete the tutorial at the time because the game wouldn't let me crawl under these barbed wires. And when that was solved, I kept getting swarms of bugs on me, so I just kept dying. But after picking it up again, learning more of the mechanics, and playing it with friends, I found the game to be an incredible multiplayer experience. Helldivers 2 is a co-op shooter game that can be played by up to 4 people, and the game is about you enlisting in the Helldivers, a military force from Super-Earth that's fighting to spread managed democracy across the galaxy. You'll be fighting Terminids, which are huge alien bugs, and automatons, robots armed with heavy weapons and armor. Why? Well, you don't have a choice, for freedom! Helldivers 2 starts off with a propaganda video that was hilarious, but extremely effective. Like, I knew that I was going to love the game's humor from the moment I watched it. After the cutscene ends, you'll arrive at the tutorial area, where you'll learn what it takes to be a Helldiver. You'll be taught basic controls, mechanics, and how to kill Terminids. Since I never experienced the tutorial properly, I decided to replay it even though I leveled up quite a bit since then. It ended up being really fun, and it gave me the chance to learn how to use a controller more with the game, since I've been playing it with mouse and keyboard. One thing stood out to me during the tutorial though, and it was the signboards. They served to guide new Helldivers, but they were also really over the top and funny. After completing the tutorial, you'll get to name your ship and arrive on board? Or well, I guess the more accurate thing is, your frozen body is thawed out after who knows how long. But yeah, from this point on, you can start doing missions. Using the ship's galactic map, you'll get to see what's the current status of the war. It was really cool seeing all the stats of other players, and which planets were being liberated, even after I got used to going on missions. But yeah, you can choose whether to fight automatons or terminids, and what planet to fight on. After that, you can choose where to land, prepare your equipment, and then you'll finally be deployed into the battlefield. The whole process is awesome, since you can literally see your ship moving across the planet, along with countless other ships in view. And even the loading screen, all the way to when you actually land on the planet, was epic. Now when your squad's on the planet, you can start preparing for exploration by using stratagems to get certain weapons like a machine gun. The stratagems also let you resupply and even call for airstrikes. The downside is that you can't use them all the time. There are cooldowns for each stratagem, including the resupply, so you have to manage your resources and plan ahead. Though sometimes you might get lucky and find some weapons and ammo during your mission. Helldivers 2 has a lot of different objectives that you can do. The primary ones include things like blowing up automaton factories, retrieving data, or destroying terminid nests. Secondary objectives can be done in the game too, and the number of them depends on the difficulty level that you're playing in. This includes a lot of different tasks like loading artillery in a cannon, or destroying research stations. Doing all your objectives will contribute to your squad's overall score at the end of missions, giving you better rewards, so it's best to do them if possible. Though just like your ammunition and resources, you have to plan ahead and make sure that you don't take too long to complete objectives, since you have a 40-minute timer. It's plenty of time if you have objectives that aren't too far away from each other, but if you reach that limit, well, you can't use stratagems anymore to resupply or get anything. That includes respawning. The game gives you more lives the bigger your squad is, but all of that's gone once the timer is up. Your only option is to run for your life and hope that you can get to the extraction point. It can get nerve-wracking, but it's also really exciting, just like the rest of the game. Like, a huge part of the game's appeal is from firing hundreds of bullets on enemies and nuking everything in sight. It's insanely fun and addicting, especially when you see hordes of them exploding along with their nests and bases. Like, Helldivers 2 is a good-looking game, but it shines the most when you see bullets, lasers, and explosions everywhere. It becomes one big visual spectacle that I don't think I'll ever get tired of. I had such an amazing experience with the game, especially when I was fighting for my life and trying to keep up with my friends. one wrong move and your whole squad can get swarmed. I do think that the game's best played with friends though, and people that you know, since matchmaking with randoms can be a mixed bag, just like in a lot of other multiplayer games, and playing solo limits you to easier difficulty levels because of how the game works. Like, the enemy variety is huge, so it can be a lot tougher to fight bigger armored enemies if you don't have too many people in your team or you're too low level. You really have to coordinate and make sure that you have the right equipment to deal with them, especially since things can go from 0 to 100 real fast when you have a large bug chasing you or a heavily armored tank firing in your direction. It doesn't help that the environment can either help you or make things worse. The planets themselves are pretty varied in Helldivers too. I thought it was just going to be sandy everywhere, but nope, there's a bunch of different biomes, from snowy landscapes to areas filled with plant life. There are even environmental hazards like blizzards, plants, and water. Yeah, I drowned one time, which was pretty embarrassing since my friends and I weren't even in danger at the time. But there's one thing that I really didn't like. The fire tornadoes. It kind of felt like they were magnetized towards your character and other members in your squad, so if you were close to an objective you needed to do, more often than not, the fire tornadoes would just pass through some items and terminals you needed to use. On the bright side, enemies run into them and die, so it's perfect when your squad's under pressure. After completing objectives and successfully extracting from the planet, you'll arrive at your ship, or well, your friend's ship, depending on who's the lobby host. The game will then rate your squad's performance on the mission, so you'll get rewarded with XP and requisition slips. Learning about all the different currencies in the game was honestly confusing for me. Even now, there's just so many, like, there are samples, super credits, requisition slips, and medals. I don't want to go into too much detail, but all of them are obviously useful for something. You can purchase more stratagems, upgrade your ship, and get new weapons and armor. Oh, and the medals are used to unlock various things like emotes and cosmetic stuff in the game's battle pass. There are also premium battle passes, but they're unlocked using super credits, which can be earned or bought with real money. From what I've seen online, paying for the premium battle passes doesn't seem to give you an advantage over other players, especially since you would still need to grind to unlock their content. Plus, you can save up super credits to buy the passes too, so you're not really missing out unless you want to support the game even more. Now, one thing that would make Helldivers 2 even more perfect is if the game was available in every country on PC. Yeah, as of the time that this video was released, Helldivers 2, along with other Sony-published PC games, both upcoming and recent releases, are region-locked. It's crazy considering how Sony actually sells their consoles to many of those countries, so all they're doing is losing future sales. I really hope that if you come across this video in the future, then things would have changed. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out since it wouldn't feel right just making a video on this game. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who got affected by this. Heck, I literally live in one of the countries that can't buy it anymore, or even see the Steam store page. Still, Helldivers 2 is a brilliant game that deserves to be accessed and played by everyone. The game really brings out a sense of camaraderie that I think is rare in a lot of multiplayer titles, and the whole experience was just plain fun. Shooting hordes of enemies and blowing stuff up felt so satisfying. I love how completing missions was a collective effort, and the fact that you can get rewarded for them, even if you haven't played the game in a while, was a fun surprise whenever I'd launch the game. I only played a little over 10 hours of Helldivers 2 so far, but I'm definitely going to play even more, especially since the game keeps getting updated. Helldivers 2 is on PS5 and PC. Let me know what you thought about the video, and thank you to my patrons at Patreon for supporting my channel. And as always, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to support my channel. I'm surprised this video ended up being longer than 5 minutes, but I just had so much to say about Helldivers 2. But yeah, look forward to my next few videos, which might be really soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.